Hello, YouTube. This is Largo 64, starting out with section with part 8 of Letters from the Earth by Mark Twain. Um, I'm going to just start right at the top of the next paragraph here, instead of going back because I ran out of time when I tried to record this earlier. To this day, his reason has never recovered from that shock. A wild nightmare of vengefulness has possessed him ever since, and he has almost bankrupted his native ingenuities in inventing pains and miseries and humiliations and heartbreaks wherewith to embitter the brief lives of Adam's descendants. Think of the diseases he has contrived for them. They are multitudinous. No book can name them all, and each one is a trap set for an innocent victim. The human being is a machine, an automatic machine. It is composed of thousands of complex and delicate mechanisms which perform their functions harmoniously and perfectly in accordance with the laws devised for their governance, and over which the man himself has no authority, no mastership, no control. For each one of these thousands of mechanisms, the Creator has planned an enemy whose office it is to harass it, pester it, persecute it, damage it, afflict it with pains and miseries and ultimate destruction. Not one has been overlooked. From cradle to grave, these enemies are always at work. They know no rest, night or day. They are an army, an organized army, a besieging army, an assaulting army, an army that is alert, watchful, eager, merciless, an army that never relents, never grants a truce. It moves by squad, by company, by battalion, by regiment, by brigade, by division, by army corps. Upon occasion it masses its parts and moves upon mankind with its whole strength. It is the Creator's grand army, and he is the commander-in-chief. Along its battle front, its grisly banners wave their legends in the face of the sun. Disaster, disease, and the rest. Disease. That is the main force, the diligent force, the devastating force. It attacks the infant the moment it is born. It furnishes it one malady after another: croup, measles, mumps, bowel troubles, teething pains, scarlet fever, and other childhood specialties. It chases the child into youth and furnishes it some specialties for that time of life. It chases the youth into maturity, maturity into age, and age into the grave. With these facts before you, will you now try to guess man's chiefest pet name for this ferocious commander-in-chief? I will save you the trouble, but you must not laugh. It is our Father in heaven. It is curious the way the human mind works. The Christian begins with this straight proposition, this definite proposition, this inflexible and uncompromising proposition: God is all-knowing and all-powerful. This being the case, nothing can happen without his knowing beforehand that it is going to happen. Nothing happens without his permission. Nothing can happen that he chooses to prevent. That is definite enough, isn't it? It makes the Creator distinctly responsible for everything that happens, doesn't it? The Christian concedes it in that italicized sense, concedes it with feeling, with enthusiasm. Then, having thus made the Creator responsible for all those pains and diseases and miseries above enumerated, and which he could have prevented, the gifted Christian blandly calls him our Father. It is as I tell you. He equips the Creator with every trait that goes to the making of a fiend, and then arrives at the conclusion that a fiend and a father are the same thing. Yet he would deny that a malevolent lunatic and a Sunday school superintendent are essentially the same. What do you think of the human mind? I mean, in case you think there is a human mind. Letter number 7. Noah and his family were saved, if that could be called an advantage. I throw in the if for the reason that there has never been an intelligent person of the age of 60 who would consent to live his life over again, his or anyone else's. The family were saved, yes, but they were not comfortable, for they were full of microbes, full to the eyebrows, fat with them, obese with them, distended like balloons. It was a disagreeable condition, but it could not be helped, because enough microbes had to be saved to supply the future races of men with desolating diseases, and there were but 8 persons on board to serve as hotels for them. The microbes were by far the most important part of the ark's cargo, and the part the Creator was most anxious about and most infatuated with. They had to have good nourishment and pleasant accommodations. There were typhoid germs and cholera germs, hydrophobia germs and lockjaw germs and consumption germs and black plague germs, and some hundreds of other aristocrats, specially precious creations, golden bearers of God's love to man, blessed gifts of the infatuated Father to his children, all of which had to be sumptuously housed and richly entertained. These were located in the choicest places in the interiors the family could furnish, in the lungs, in the heart, in the brain, in the kidneys, the blood, in the guts particularly. The great intestine was the favorite resort. There they gathered by countless billions, and worked and fed and squirmed and sang hymns of praise and thanksgiving. And at night, when it was quiet, you could hear the soft murmur of it. The large intestine was, in effect, their heaven. They stuffed it solid. They made it as rigid as a coil of gas pipe. They took pride in this. Their principal hymn made gratified reference to it. Constipation, oh constipation, the joyful sound proclaim, till man's remotest entrail shall praise its Maker's name. The discomforts furnished by the ark were many and various. The family had to live right in the presence of the multitudinous animals, and breathe the distressing stench they make, and be deafened day and night with the thunder crash of noise their roarings and screechings produced. And in addition to these intolerable discomforts, it was a peculiarly trying place for the ladies, for they could look in no direction without seeing some thousands of the creatures engaged in multiplying and replenishing. And then there were the flies. They swarmed everywhere and persecuted the family all day long. They were the first animals up in the morning and the last ones down at night. But they must not be killed. They must not be injured. They were sacred. Their origin was divine. They were the special pets of the Creator, his darlings. By and by the other creatures would be distributed here and there about the earth, scattered, the tigers to India, the lions and elephants to the vacant desert and the secret places of the jungle, the birds to the boundless regions of empty space, the insects to one or another climate according to nature and requirement. But the fly? He is of no nationality. All the climates are his home. All the globe is his province. All creatures that breathe are his prey. And unto them all he is a scourge and a hell. To man he is a divine ambassador, a minister plenipotentiary, the Creator's special representative. He infests him in his cradle, clings in bunches to his gummy eyelids, buzzes and bites and harries him, robbing him of his sleep and his weary mother of their strength in those long vigils which she devotes to protecting her child from this pest's persecutions. The fly harries the sick man in his home, in the hospital, even on his deathbed at his last gasp, pesters him at his meals, previously hunts up patients suffering from loathsome and deadly diseases, wades in their sores, gums its legs with 1,000,000 death-dealing germs, and then comes to that healthy man's table and wipes these things off on the butter and discharges a bowel load of typhoid germs and excrement on his batter cakes. The housefly wrecks more human constitutions and destroys more human lives than all God's multitude of misery messengers and death agents put together. And that's all